Good afternoon, friends. So in this class we will discuss some applications of equal area criteria, right? So before going to the applications of equal area criteria, first I want to give you the assumptions that we will take in order to apply the equal area criteria. Okay, so the first assumption is, so the shunt capacitances of the lines, the shunt capacitances as well as external capacitances, the shunt capacitances as well as the external capacitances which are connected. Why we have the external capacitances are external shunt elements. Not only capacitances, you can also have reactors, external shunt reactors. Okay, so the shunt capacitances of lines as well as external shunt elements like external shunt capacitance or reactors, these are neglected in the transient stability analysis or in equal area criteria. Second thing is the resistances of lines. The resistances of lines are negligible. So we don't consider the resistances of the lines. We only consider the reactance. Okay, and the third thing is that when compared, the internal voltage of generator, the internal voltage of synchronous generator. What is the internal voltage of synchronous generator? It is E, right? So the internal voltage of synchronous generator and the voltage of infinite bus, internal voltage of synchronous generator as well as the voltage of infinite bus are assumed as constants, during the course of study. Okay, because the change in the reason is the change in the internal voltage E and V is very small, compared to the change in reactance, because for all the electrical disturbances, transient electrical disturbances, we have the reactance changes. Okay, so the change in internal voltage E and V is very small compared to the change in reactance, right? So these are the things which we need to keep in mind when we are applying the equal area criteria, right? In addition to that, we must also know how there will be oscillations, how the rotor experiences the disturbance in case of generator as well as in case of motor. We need to understand, right? So let me take a fresh page. So here I am considering that in order to understand about equal area criteria means where the rotor oscillates and where the rotor is at stable point. In order to understand that, we need to understand two facts. One fact is, if the accelerated, these are very important points, these two are very important points. If you understand this, then only you can understand how we applied equal area criteria for understanding the transient stability, for analyzing the transient stability. So first thing, very important thing is that if PA, what is PA? It is called as accelerated power. We know that, is it right? It is actually the difference between the shaft power and electric power. We know these things already, so I don't want to go into that. So if PA is not equal to 0, okay, let me keep them mathematically like this. So if PA is equal to 0 and speed of the synchronous means speed of the rotor of synchronous generator is equal to synchronous speed, right? So if n is equal to ns or omega is equal to omega s as well as PA is equal to 0, then such a point can be treated as stable point, because here there is no difference or there is no relative speed between the rotor field axis as well as the reference axis, and also the accelerated power is 0. As the accelerated power is 0 and the rotor is rotating in synchronous speed, it means that the synchronous generator is running in stable condition, so that we can treat such a point, that then such a point can be treated as a stable point. This is one very, very important thing, because at the stable point you don't have any oscillations. When you consider or when you treat a point as a stable point, it indicates that at that point you do not have any oscillations. This is one thing which you need to understand. And the second thing which you need to understand is, if PA is not equal to 0 and speed omega is equal to omega s or n is equal to ns, this is one condition. Or you can also have another condition. Though the accelerated power is equal to 0, you can have the speed, sometimes you can have the speed different from the synchronous speed. You can have the speed of the rotor different from the synchronous speed, though the accelerated power is 0, or though you have the synchronous speed. In those situations you can have sometimes accelerated power not equal to 0. Okay, then such a point is treated as, if at any point or in any region, if the accelerated power is not equal to 0, though you have the synchronous speed, or if the accelerated power is 0 but we don't have synchronous speed, we can treat such a point as oscillating point. We can treat such a point as oscillating point. Means here the rotor will not settle. Means the rotor angle. What is the rotor angle? We know that rotor angle, load angle, torque angle, power angle, all are same. All serves the same purpose. So rotor angle delta do not settle, whereas in the first case the rotor angle delta settle at that point. You don't have any oscillations, but here you have the oscillations, but the rotor angle delta will not settle. Okay, this is another important thing. Okay, so you need to check for three conditions. Let me write here in a simple way. You need to check for three conditions. PA is equal to 0, omega is equal to omega s. PA not equal to 0, omega is equal to omega s. PA is equal to 0, omega not equal to omega s. These 2 points can be treated as oscillating points, and this point can be treated as stable point. Okay, in this way we need to understand the equal area criteria. When we are applying the equal area criteria, we need to keep this in our mind. Okay, so in addition to that, So what are the prerequisites which we need to know in before going to the applications of equal area criteria? First one is we need to know the assumptions that we are taking. Okay, these are the assumptions in equal area criteria. In studying the transient stability, these are the assumptions we need to keep in mind, important assumptions. And another thing is that we need to know about the conditions, where we get the oscillating point and where we get the stable point. And the third thing is that how the rotor is rotating. For example, first I am drawing the movement of rotor for generator, then I will draw the movement of rotor for motor. See, for example, first you have this as the reference axis. What is that reference axis? It is rotating reference axis, means stator magnetic field axis, and you have considered this as rotor field axis. This is rotor field axis and this is the reference axis. In between them there is some angle delta. Now in this situation, for example, if the rotor as well as the stator magnetic field both are rotating in synchronous speed, we can call it as a stable condition. Now under acceleration means when there is acceleration, the rotor field axis advances by some angle when there is the acceleration. When there is the acceleration in the rotor, this line will move like this, so that the angle delta increases. Acceleration means speed is increasing, means it goes beyond omega s. Now when there is a deceleration of rotor, you will have the movement like this, rotor field axis movement like this. Okay, this is called as deceleration. Now the speed will move less than omega s. Here in acceleration, the speed goes beyond the synchronous speed. During deceleration, the speed comes less than the synchronous speed. At stable point, the speed is equal to synchronous speed. Okay, this is about the generator. Similarly, we will see for motor. Let us consider for motor. You have, see, in generator, rotor field axis is leading. We know that because first there is a magnetic field produced in the rotor, then there will be magnetic field in the stator, right? So rotor field axis is leading to rotating reference axis. In generator. This is for generator. Okay, let me draw a line. This is for a generator. Now for motor, how you will have the variation? This is reference axis, which is rotating reference axis. This is rotating reference axis, and you have the rotor field like this, which is lagging. So I can call this as rotor field axis. What we can understand from this here, rotor field axis in case of motor, rotor field axis lags behind rotating reference axis. This is the fact in case of motor, right? Now what is the load angle? This is load angle. Now when there is acceleration, what happens? You have the acceleration like this. When there is acceleration, the angle reduces. So this is called as acceleration, right? So here omega will be greater than omega s. When you have deceleration, this is way of deceleration. This is deceleration. In this case, omega will be reduced from omega s. Whereas when both are rotating in synchronous speed, you have the angle of delta. Okay, so this is about for motor and this is about generator. So before going to the equal area criteria applications, we have seen three things. Okay, I am repeating again, please concentrate on this. Okay, so first we have seen the assumptions which we need to know before going for transient stability analysis. Next we have seen conditions which we need to understand in equal area criteria. Next we have seen what is the movement of rotor, how there is a movement of rotor, how the delta varies in case of generator and motor during the disturbance. Okay, when the disturbance occurs, in this way we need to understand, right? Now we'll go to the actual discussion. So here first application I am seeing here, first application. So I'll go for the first application. Application 1. Here I am assuming that when the mechanical input of synchronous generator, what is the mechanical input for the synchronous generator? We know that this has the shaft power, right? When the mechanical input of synchronous generator is suddenly increased, right? Now before increase we call this as PS1. Is it right or not? Because PS1 is nothing but shaft power before increase. This is the shaft power. Similarly, what is PS2? I am assuming PS2 as increased input shaft power, because the first application is to analyze the equal area criteria when the mechanical input of synchronous generator is suddenly increased. In order to understand that, first we need to know what is the shaft power before the disturbance and what is the shaft power after. What is the increased shaft power? This is the increased shaft power. Whereas if you understand PE1 as the electric power, what is PE1? I am assuming PE1 as the electric power before increasing the mechanical power. This is the electric power. Similarly, I am assuming PE2 as increased electric power, because as the shaft power increases, we need to increase the electric power also in order to obtain the stability. So I can call this as increased electric power. Now if you understand, if you see the maximum power transfer capability, what is the see first initially before disturbance, we know that PS1 is equal to PE1. So PS1 PE1 can be taken as P max 1 sine delta naught before the disturbance. This is PS1. From this I can find delta naught as sine inverse of PS1 by P max 1. This is the initial load angle before the disturbance. Delta naught is nothing but, it is very important, it is a stable load angle, or it is the load angle before the disturbance. Now before the disturbance you have both the powers the same. Now we will see what is the maximum, means maximum power transfer, which is P max. In the first case before the disturbance, Pmax 1 is equal to EV by X, right? EV by X1 equivalent. Similarly, in the second case, Pmax 2 is equal to EV by X2 equivalent, or X1 equivalent, X2 equivalent. Why I am taking equivalent? Because you have a synchronous generator which is connected to a transformer, and it is connected to an infinite bus with the help of a transmission line. It can be a single line or a double circuit line, whatever it may be. Now here X1 equivalent is nothing but the entire reactance between the generator and infinite bus. This is X1 equivalent. Now before the disturbance and after the disturbance, there is no change in reactance, because we are changing only the mechanical input. The reactance has nothing to do with the mechanical input. Hence we can say that X1 equivalent is equal to X2 equivalent before the disturbance, after the disturbance. Because of this reason, you have Pmax 1 is equal to Pmax 2. Okay, so what is meant by Pmax 2? It is the maximum power transfer after the disturbance. What is meant by Pmax 1? It is the maximum power transfer before the disturbance. As these two are equal, hence we have only one power angle curve. Okay, we can analyze the equal area criteria using only one power angle curve, because the the maximum power transfer in both the cases is same. As the maximum power transfer in both the as the maximum power transfer in both the cases is same, we have only one power angle curve. Okay, so we need to understand these are the situations. Before the disturbance, shaft power as well as the electric power are same, and this is the angle, initial load angle before the disturbance. Now as the power maximum power transfer is same in both the situations, we have only one power angle curve. Okay, now let us understand that equal area criteria with the help of this diagram. This is the power angle curve. This is PE delta curve, which is also called as power angle curve, Now observe here the point A. As I have written comments at the right side, you can understand easily because I have written comments here at each and every point. See, at point A, I have written here, at point A, PS1, it is the shaft power. I am assuming this as the shaft power. Shaft power is equal to electric power. Shaft power is equal to electric power. So what is the PA accelerated power value? Accelerated power value is 0. When accelerated power value is 0 and the synchronous generator at this point is assumed to be rotating in synchronous speed. Okay, so we have both the conditions satisfied as we have studied at the starting of our video. Let me show this here. Here we have satisfied both the conditions. PA is equal to 0 and omega is equal to omega s. We can call it as a stable point, right? So now I am going back to that. So here the point at point A, the shaft power is equal to electric power. So the accelerated power is 0. Now at this point you have neither acceleration nor deceleration. Means you don't have any acceleration nor deceleration. Hence we can call it as a stable point. Now what happens is I have increased the shaft power from PS1 to PS2. Observe here, this is the shaft power now. This is the disturbance which I am talking about. Okay, here the mechanical input. If you observe here, what is the first application? First application is studying the transient stability using equal area criteria when the mechanical input of synchronous generator, which is PS, is suddenly increased, right? So now here the shaft power is increased from PS1 to PS2, right? When the shaft power increases from PS1 to PS2, what happens from A to B? See, this is the region, this is the point A and this is the point B if you observe. So from A to B, the power, accelerated power is positive. Why? Because shaft power is more now. The electric power in this region is always lesser than this power if you observe. So as accelerated power is positive, there will be some acceleration. What is that? There will be acceleration. When there is acceleration, we have seen that for a generator, when you have acceleration, the speed increases beyond the synchronous speed, right? When there is a relative speed, automatically delta increases. When there will be change in delta, the change in delta occurs only when the change in delta occurs only when there is a relative speed or there is a relative speed between the rotor field axis as well as reference axis. When there is some relative speed, then delta increases. So that is the reason why the delta increases. See, at the point B, what is the value of delta? Delta 1. Now we know that delta 1 is always greater than delta 0. It indicates the delta increases from delta 0 to delta 1. Why it is happened? As the shaft power is suddenly increased, the accelerated power is positive. When the accelerated power is positive, it makes the rotor to accelerate. So there is an acceleration happens. Now the speed, previously the speed is synchronous speed, now the speed increases beyond the synchronous speed. As you have the relative speed between the between the rotor field axis and reference axis, delta increases. Now at point B exactly, again you have shaft power equal to electric power. If you see this point, this is the shaft power here, the electric power is also same. As you have the shaft power and electric power same, you have the accelerated power 0. Though you have the, see, at the point B, though you have the accelerated power 0, but the synchronous generator is not rotating. The rotor of synchronous generator is not rotating in synchronous speed. See here, though the accelerated power is 0, acceleration comes to 0, but the speed is maximum. Why the speed is maximum? First, initially it is at omega s, now the speed increases beyond omega s, so it reaches a maximum value. Now, as it reaches a maximum value, because of moment of inertia, the delta will further increase. Moment of inertia we studied, we discussed something about the moment of inertia. A rotor, for example, a rotor like this, when you, if you have a rotor in your hand, I am taking a small example. When you have a rotor in your hand, when you rotate the rotor with your hand with some force, the rotor will not rotate with the same force. There is some extra force which is created, and it comes to initial position after some time. This is due to the inertia of the rotor. So that is the reason why, as the speed increases it goes to maximum value omega s, though the acceleration is 0. See, actually if there is no inertia, when the accelerated power is 0, the angle delta must also stop here, means the change in angle must stop. But because of moment of inertia, there is a further movement in the rotor. Because of this further movement, the delta will increases further, right? Now what happens at B? B is now cannot be treated as a stable point, because though the accelerated power is 0, the rotor speed is not the synchronous speed. The rotor speed is not the synchronous speed. That is why it is not treated as a stable point. It is a oscillating point. B is a oscillating point. What about A? A is a stable point. A is a stable point. B is a oscillating point. Now what happens from B to C? See, when the movement is from B, why it is moving from B to C? Because as delta is increasing further, so when the delta is increasing further from delta 1 to delta 2, the electric power will also increase. You know that the electric power, if you observe from this equation, it depends upon the maximum power transfer and angle delta. As delta is increasing, electric power also increases. That is the reason why you have the variation of the point, operating point from B to C. The operating point is moving from B to C. Why it is moving from B to C? Because as the delta is increasing further from point B, the electric power is increasing. As the electric power is increasing, the operating point is also moving from B to C. Now from B to C, what happens? This is the electric power. B to C, this is the electric power, and this is the shaft power. Now the electric power is greater than shaft power. See, in this region, the electric power is greater than the shaft power. Why? Because this is the shaft power, which is an increased shaft power. Now beyond this point, if the operating point is moving, the electric power will be greater than the shaft power. What is the accelerated power? Accelerated power is the difference between shaft power and electric power. As PE is greater than PS, you have the accelerated power negative. When the accelerated power comes to negative value, then automatically the rotor starts decelerating, means its speed is getting reduced. Acceleration means, we need to understand, acceleration means speed increasing, deceleration means speed decreasing, right? So deceleration starts here. As the deceleration started, the speed is reduced from omega max, because starting we have omega is equal to omega s at the starting. Now the speed increases and reaches to a maximum value of omega max at B. Now from B, as we have the deceleration happening, so the speed is getting reduced from omega s. Though the see PA is negative, the deceleration, though we have deceleration, but the speed is greater than omega s. See, what is omega? Means omega is the speed of rotor. Now though the speed is reduced from omega max, it is greater than omega s still it is greater than omega s, as we have relative speed, because what is omega s is nothing but the speed of stator magnetic field. Omega is the speed of rotor. Now there is some relative speed between the rotor magnetic field and stator magnetic field, if you call directly. As there is the relative speed, delta will further increases due to that angular velocity. Due to that relative velocity, the delta will further increases. That's why you have the delta variation from delta 1 to delta 2 and PE variation from B to C. Okay, so this is about the movement of the operating point from A to C. Now we will see the reverse. What happens now exactly after reaching point C? What happens now? So this is the thing which we need to understand. I am taking the same figure. Now at point C, what happens? At point C, PA is still negative. Why? This is PS2. Even at point C, right? Okay. Even at point C, PE is greater than PS2. PE is greater than PS2. So PA is still negative. As Pa is not equal to 0, this point is also called as oscillating point. So we should know the difference between a stable point and oscillating point. That's why I gave 3 conditions in order to conclude, in order to decide which point is the oscillating point, which point is the oscillating point, and which point is the stable point, right? Now point C is also oscillating point. Now deceleration continued because this is now omega is equal to omega s is obtained. Exactly at this point I am assuming that omega is equal to omega s. Now it is a oscillating point. Why it is a oscillating point? Though the speed is at synchronous speed, the accelerated power is not equal to 0. The accelerated power is not equal to 0. As the accelerated power is not equal to 0, it is an oscillating point. So the deceleration continues. Now this deceleration makes the speed reduces below synchronous speed. This deceleration makes the speed to go below the synchronous speed. That is so what happens now? Below the synchronous speed and delta reduces. So delta starts decreasing. From delta 2 again the delta starts decreasing. If you observe here in this diagram, the delta moves in this direction. Means delta is increased first from delta 0 to delta 1, then from delta 1 to delta 2. This is the movement of delta. It is increased from delta 0 to delta 2. Now here if you observe, now exactly at point C the delta starts reducing. So it is called as swinging back. It is called as swinging back, where the delta value is reducing from increased value. This process is called as swinging back or swing back, right? Delta reduces. Now in this region C to B, again the entire region C to B is always a negative acceleration region, or it is also called as deceleration region. That is the reason why from C to B also deceleration continued, because Pa is negative. And the speed, the problem is here, because of the inertia, the speed goes beyond omega s, means it reduces below omega s, because the speed first increased from omega s to the speed is at omega s, then it is increased to omega max, then again it reduces, finally it reaches to omega s, then again it is reduced to, it means it is reduced below omega s, and here also the delta will decrease. This is the situation of the movement from C to B. Now exactly at point B, now understand, Pa is equal to 0. Though Pa is equal to 0, speed is not the synchronous speed, because it is lesser. Omega is equal to omega n, which is less than the synchronous speed. So again we can call it as a oscillating point. It is not a stable point, it is a oscillating point, because though the accelerated power is 0, omega is equal to omega minimum. Now because of moment of inertia, delta will decrease further. Say once Pa is equal to 0, if there is no inertia, the rotor, means the change in rotor angle must stop if Pa is equal to 0, if there is no inertia. But due to the inertia, though we are having Pa is equal to 0, the delta is decreasing further due to the moment of inertia. That we need to understand. So the same situation is happened here during the forward movement. Here the same situation happened at the same point. At the same point we are getting Pa is equal to 0, right? So leave this point. This is a stable point and this is the point before the disturbance. Leave this point. After this point where we are getting the accelerated power 0, we are getting the accelerated power 0 only at point B during the forward movement as well as during the reverse movement. during the backward movement, during the forward movement. In both the movements, the accelerated power is 0, but due to moment of inertia, during the forward movement, the delta increases further from B to C. During the backward movement, the delta again reduces from B, and from B it reaches to A. In this region, you have PA as positive. Okay, acceleration start, omega reduces, omega greater than omega minimum, but still it is less than omega s. So the delta decreases. So this is the decrease in delta, this is increase in delta. Now what we need to understand here is, because of damper winding, which is inherently shown, which is inherent, because we have not shown any damper winding in the synchronous generator, but internally we have a damper winding in the synchronous generator. So that is the reason why. So once the operating point moves from A to C, we cannot get the movement from C to A. It stops at A dash, right, which is somewhat bigger than A. Okay, now again from A dash, it will reach to C dash. Then from C dash it will reach to A double dash. Then from A double dash it reaches to C double dash. After some time it finally settles at B. That we need to understand in this way, right? Because of damper winding present in the synchronous generator, in the first variation, the operating point move from A to C. Let me show here, A to C. But because of the damper winding, it will not come to A, it will settle at A dash. Then again, because of oscillation, this will move in reverse direction and settle at C dash. Then again it comes back to another position which is at A double dash. Then this is at C double dash. Like that you have the delta moving, means operating point moves in one way like this, then 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 like this, finally settles at a point. So in this way there will be swinging in operating point. There will be swinging in operating point. As there is a swinging in operating point, there will be a swinging in delta also, because initially I will show this with the help of this diagram. Initially the delta, see, with respect to time I am drawing delta, right? So this diagram shows the variation of delta with respect to time, right? Now what is this? Exactly at point A, the delta value is equal to delta naught. This is called as a stable point, right? But this is before the disturbance. Now after the disturbance, the stable point is shifted to here. This is a new stable point. What is this? This is a new stable point. This is old stable point before the disturbance, and now this is the new stable point. But immediately after the disturbance, the stable point will not change. So first it reached from A to C. The operating point moved from A to C, means the delta value increases from delta naught to, at C, what is the value of delta? Delta 2. Because if you observe from the diagram, at point C, what is the value of delta? Delta 2. Is it right? So at C it is delta 2. So from delta naught to delta 2 it increases. Then again it comes to some angle which is we can say which is greater than delta naught. Okay, so here the delta is greater than delta naught. Now here what is this? This here delta is less than delta 2. Now here delta is very much greater than, means if you observe, if you understand this as delta naught, this as delta 2, and delta dash, assume this as delta dash. Delta dash is greater than delta naught, and assume this as delta double dash. Delta double dash is less than delta 2, and assume this as delta triple dash. Delta triple dash is greater than delta triple dash is greater than delta dash. Means delta triple dash is the load angle here, delta dash is the load angle here. So delta triple dash is greater than delta dash, and delta dash is greater than delta. Here here the load angle reduces, delta dash delta 2. So delta dash is less than delta 2, and if I assume it delta 4 dashes, just I am giving a symbol, it is less than delta double dash. Like this it will settles at a point where delta value is equal to delta 1. Delta value is equal to delta 1. Here delta is equal to delta 0, delta is equal to delta 2. So delta swings between, what happens, delta swings between delta naught to delta 2, delta naught to delta 2, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. So it settles at a point delta 1. This is the variation of delta with respect to time, and we can understand that with the help of equal area criteria. Now when this particular system is in stable condition, when the area A1, what is the area A1? A1 is accelerating area. What is area A1? Accelerating area. Now what is this area? What is this area? This area is called decelerating area. Decelerating area. So A1 is equal to A2. This is the condition for stability. See, though sometimes if the shaft power is increased further, so let me take the next one. So for example, okay, just it has, so for example, if I have a power angle curve like this, and this is the shaft power before the disturbance. Now the shaft power is increased beyond, very high, means shaft power is increased further. Now what happens, the accelerating area is increasing, whereas the decelerating area is reducing. Is it right or not? Now what is the value at which you will get the synchronous speed? Here at this point you have the synchronous speed, omega is equal to omega s, and this is the stable point. Here also you have the speed omega is equal to omega s, right? And at this point where the operating point settles, here also you will have omega is equal to omega s. But here if you observe the angle at which, means the area A2 extend up to a angle delta 2, but here delta 2 can be greater than 90 degrees. Though delta 2 is greater than 90 degrees, we cannot say, though delta 2 greater than 90 degrees, we cannot say that the synchronous generator is unstable, is in unstable condition, because delta is equal to 90 degrees is only the condition under steady state stability. Okay, so delta is equal to 90 degrees is only the condition for steady state stability, is only the condition for steady state stability, whereas for transient stability, what is the condition? For transient stability, A1 is equal to A2 is the condition. The accelerating area must be equal to decelerating area. Okay, if the accelerating area is less than A1, then it is treated as an unstable condition, and this is treated as stable condition. This is for transient stability. So now you got the difference between the steady state stability and the transient stability, I think so. In order to say that the system is having the transient stability, we need to we need to satisfy the condition that A1 is equal to A2, means accelerating area must be equal to decelerating area, whereas the system is to be said that it is stable according to steady state stability. The delta value must be equal or less than 90 degrees. Then only we can say that it is that there is a steady state stability. See here, though we have delta going beyond 90 degrees here, if you observe, the delta is going beyond 90 degrees. This is 90 degrees delta, and this is going beyond 90 degrees, but the initial angle is less than 90 degrees, whereas the final angle, okay, where the delta swings, see here, here delta naught, here delta is equal to delta naught, and this can be 90 degrees or greater than 90 degrees, no problem. Finally it must settle here. In order to do that, the areas must be equal. Accelerating area must be equal to decelerating area. So in case of transient stability, our concern is only on whether the accelerating area is equal to decelerating area or not. Whereas in steady state stability, our concern is to check whether the initial operating angle is below 90 degrees or equal to 90 degrees or not. Okay, so this is about the steady state stability and the transient stability. Okay, so in the next video we will see one more some other applications. Okay, some other applications of equal area criteria. Okay, thank you very much for listening to this video. See, the reason why I am doing the videos like this is I have some problem with my camera stand, means the tripod which is used to place my mobile. I have the problem with the tripod. That's why I am doing the videos on this application. Once it is rectified, I will do that. Okay, so please make use of all the videos. Thank you very much.